And welcome into yet again another episode of Devil Dash. I am Wills, joined by Josh here. We have a lot packed into this episode. We are going to be transitioning kind of from a football show to more basketball. But when news comes up with the football team, with recruits and storylines within that team, we will keep you updated and talk about it every week. But this show is going to be pretty basketball heavy. We're going to be talking about the recent weekend series against the Southern California schools. We are going to be talking about Bobby Hurley and kind of is he slipping up? And then, what else does this team have to do to still make the NCAA tournament, as, they're not looking too hot right now. But, first off, we would be wrong if, our show is live right now, Monday, January 11th. The national championship's on. It's about to hit halftime. We got a great game going on. It's Alabama 35, Ohio State 17. And, Ohio State's been a great team. And, I just look at if any Pac-12 school were to go up against either one of these schools, we'd get throttled. But, we got a great game. Josh, this is the last game of the college football season. You can talk about this game. Kind of give me a wrap-up of, just the football season in general.
Well, yeah, this is the game that everyone's been waiting for. Two of the best teams it finally comes down to. I'm sure everyone talks about another 8-team playoff that they like to see, especially in this COVID season. But at the end of the day, it would have been these two same teams going at it because it's like the juggernaut powerhouses every single year. And man, Bama is kicking some butt right now. That looks like they really got a stride on offense, and it's up to the Buckeyes right now to figure it out defensively at the half. Who do you think? Give me your final result. Who's winning this game?
I think it's kind of hard to say Bama's not, but I mean, our show went live, and probably I think Bama got the ball with about 40 seconds left, so in the first half. So I haven't been watching, but up until that point, Devonta Smith had 215 yards receiving. He's coming off his Heisman victory, first wide receiver since Desmond Howard to win it, and what he does is incredible. If this guy's not a top 5 pick, what else do you have to do to become a top 5 pick? If you disagree, comment in the chat of why he shouldn't be. But I know Jason likes to disagree with some of my takes. So if Jason Marks is out there, tell me why he's not a top 5 pick. But it's crazy. There's still a lot of game left. Bama is up 18 points, so we'll keep an eye on that. If anything updates, we will keep you updated. But we're going to transition over. So, Josh, ASU basketball. I have their scores right in front of me. We played UCLA on the 7th, and went into overtime and lost 81-75, and then lost 73-64 to USC 2 days ago. I do want to say both those games were closer. Obviously, UCLA was in overtime, and USC was, it was a lot closer down, with 2 minutes to go until the end of the game. But it's not going to be fair to mention this, these two games without saying, obviously star point guard Remy Martin wasn't there for both games. Tayshaun Cherry wasn't there for both games. And then, their starting center, Jalen Graham, wasn't there. And he's not a great player, but that's the guy that our centers have been our biggest weak point already. So when your starting center is out for both games, especially when, Evan Mobley is on USC, projected potentially number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft next year, that was a big loss. So, tell me what you saw from the Devils and, what kind of went on in this last weekend?
Well, it was a tough week against the LA schools. We got swept by them. What ASU has really been lacking with this season so far has been, the rebounding, and we got out rebounded against USC. I'm pretty sure it was 50-30, and the Mosley brothers, Mobley brothers really took control of the boards in that game, and that just obviously converted to multiple opportunities, defensively and offensively for them. And it showed, at one point we were down against USC. USC was not literally some of the worst basketball that ASU had played in a long time. And that's a quote from Bobby Hurley. But it was really just sad to see.
Yeah, I think there's a few things that I took out of this is, wow, this team really needs Remy Martin to play well for, its surrounding players like Josh Christopher, Marcus Bagley, players like that to play well. So they really need Remy Martin. 2, I thought Bobby Hurley got really outcoached this weekend. I thought, when things weren't going ASU's way, they weren't really rebounding. Or, not rebounding, that's the incorrect word there, but they weren't kind of like battling back to adjustments that the other teams are making. And I think they were kind of just sticking to their game plan that wasn't working. They came back against UCLA. They came back against USC until they lost at the end. I think Bobby Hurley needs to show some more, especially at a timeouts and other things. I think, we're going to talk about him more later in the show. So I don't want to get too into that. But then third thing, Josh Christopher has not been what he's been hyped up to be. This guy was supposed to be, one of the best freshmen in the country. In Arizona State, it was the highest recruit Arizona State's had since James Harden. So, it was a big deal. And it was kind of a, really exciting thing for him and Bagley to team up with Remy Martin. And he has been a disappointment so far. If ASU wants to do anything, they're going to need more out of him and Remy Martin. So, Chris Bagley's been a great player for us so far. He's probably been our best player, most consistent player this season. But, he missed a few games due to injury. And ASU's now on a 3-game losing streak, so they're going to need to turn it around real quick.
Yeah, and this was a tough couple of games to lose for ASU because this is the cream of the crop in the Pac-12, and that's how it's going to be for the rest of the season. And it was, we weren't expecting too much out of the Sun Devils because some last minute cuts from the UCLA game, 4 players, and those are just some of our top guys and key parts of the offense and defensively. And, just wipe that from the game plan. Like, it's going to be tough. And we battled against UCLA. We took them to overtime. And I think the key guy that really, kept us going in both of these games was not only Alonzo Verge, but Holland Woods, too.
Yeah, Holland Woods made a lot of, big-time shots for us, kept us in that UCLA game, kept us in that USC game for a while. But, man, we really need consistency from some of our star players. Like I said, the Josh Christophers, the Marcus Bagleys, and then Remy Martin, too. I mean, I know he wasn't even playing this weekend, but he's been very inconsistent. Against Villanova, he wasn't that good. He got outplayed by Gillespie, and, he hasn't been that senior leader. He declared for the draft last year and then came back. And this was supposed to be ASU's year with these 2 5-stars and, a preseason point guard, whatever the point guard award is. I'm not sure what the name is, but for best point guard in the country, Remy Martin was on that list. So, there's still a lot of games left. We're only, 7 games into the season or 8 games into the season. But, it's – has it been out the entire time? No. Well, yeah. So, I mean, with the cards that are dealt, ASU played a pretty good game. It's tough with everything considered, but they're going to have to rebound. People don't care about injuries in a COVID-shortened year. You're going to have to fight through these things, and you're going to have to do better. So that's going to be on ASU. It's going to be on this team. It's going to be on Bobby Hurley too.
Yeah, and I mean, this is our chance to. I think everyone might be coming back. Hopefully, whoever had mono as well as clear up that, and no one else on the team has that. that's just as dangerous as COVID, I want to say. But yeah, we have some big opportunities coming up for us, and I think that can kind of transition us into our next topic.
Yeah. So what is needed to make the tournament? I mean, we've touched on a lot of this. I mean, like I said, Remy Martin being better, that's going to be number one because, he's a 20-point per game scorer. And in college basketball, that's big time. 20 points per game is a lot. And when he's on the court and when he is scoring 20 points per game, maybe his assists aren't all that high, but he gets people going like Josh Christopher and Marcus Bagley because, when he is scoring really well, they're going to have to focus their defense on Remy Martin. And Christopher and Bagley are too talented to leave open. When they have a good defender on them, we saw Christopher shot very poorly in both games this weekend. But, when Remy Martin's on the court, there's so many more opportunities for those two to, be open where the defense is more focused on Remy Martin. So that's the first thing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I mean, Remy Martin is the leader of this team. He
The
has
ball
been
handler.
for the past 2 years, I'd say, and he just really hasn't hit his groove yet. And like he hasn't found his spot as a leader in this offense. Like it's just hard to see. It's hard to see for the Devils because he should know that he is that man on offense. His senior season, declaring for the draft, coming back. I'm hoping that he can get on track because I know just some magic can happen with this team, and once everything gets clicking, they can. I know they can.
And I hope I'm wrong when I say this, but like Remy looks disinterested up to this point in the season. Like I know I'm not saying obviously he didn't play in the last 2 games, but as the leader of this team and as a team that they're 2 5-star recruits coming in with Josh Christopher and Bagley. This isn't a Duke or Kentucky where the entire starting lineup is 5 freshmen. There's a lot relying on Remy Martin being that senior and being someone to really brush off on all these freshmen and give that hard work and show it in practice every day and kind of set the precedent for these guys. And Christopher looks like he's working his butt off, but it's just, it's going to come. He's young. He's 18 or 19 years old. So, it's 7 games into his collegiate career. I think he has a lot more to show, and I think we'll see that, especially as he gels a little bit more with Remy. But, if this team wants to make the tournament, we saw it last year. They started off slow, and then they kind of got really hot at the end. They're going to need another streak like that. They're going to need another 5-6 game win streak and maybe, 8 out of 10 in a row. I think that's what they're going to need to really vault themselves back into tournament talk again.
Yeah, and there's like 3-4 games coming up right now that could have a huge impact on, future seedings in the Pac-12. And, first game we got coming up is Oregon. Yeah. And that's on Thursday, the 14th. So that's a great team, top of the Pac-12 right now with up there with UCLA. And you just have to go in the house of Dana Altman and rip their heart out. I mean, nothing less. We have nothing. We're really playing for nothing right now. So what do we have to lose? That's what I'm trying to say. Like, what do we have to lose going in here and just I'd say try a whole new game plan or figure out something to do offensively.
Yeah, ASU actually usually plays Oregon pretty well. We saw that I think their most recent matchup was the Pac-12 tournament. They might have played last year. I can't remember, but I remember with Lugwens Dort there, they played in the Pac-12 tournament, and they had that great overtime game that ASU obviously lost in. But this Oregon team has made some deep runs in the tournament, and a win on the road at Oregon would be a fantastic way to get that kind of momentum rolling, to get Christopher's confidence going if he sees 1 or 2 big threes fall in, to see Bagley's confidence if he can get a nice and one at the rim, and maybe Remy Martin's dishing out a few of those assists. So, I think it's going to be something to watch. Maybe they don't win this game, but how this team responds. They are now on a 3-game losing streak. And, obviously a loss at Oregon is not going to be the nail in your coffin because they're I think they got ranked 17th or 18th today in the AP poll. So, a loss at Oregon is not going to be the nail in the coffin for your season. But, it's going to be a good start if you want to put your name back in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, and even after Oregon, regardless if we win or lose, we play Oregon State after that, and I think we will beat Oregon if we get together offensively and have a good couple of practices leading up until that day. But Oregon State, we have to win by double digits, at least 12, 13 points. we need that confidence like you're talking about. We need Christopher or Remy, one of the two, to just go off and drop like 30 plus going into U of A, because everyone knows, whether it's football or basketball, ASU and U of A games are just great.
Yeah, and when it comes to Oregon State, I don't want to say we need to win by double digits, but the topic here is what is needed for ASU to make the tournament. And I think it's pretty obvious. Obviously, every team that wants to make the playoffs will say this, but like win the games you're supposed to win. Beat the Oregon States, beat the, we already beat a Cal, but you're going to need to maybe get a split with USC and UCLA's, or, when you play U of A, split with U of A. You're going to need to win some games that you're not supposed to, or maybe, it's very, very close game matchup wise. You're going to need to win more of those than you lose and then beat the teams you're supposed to. And if you can win one or two games into the Pac-12 tournament, probably, I would say probably 4 teams would get in. I don't know if Arizona is going to count, if there maybe 3 teams without them, but Oregon, UCLA, USC, and ASU are all going to be fighting for that spot. Colorado as well. So, ASU is going to have opportunities because, UCLA and Oregon are both ranked right now. So if you can win these games, those are resume builders to get you into the tournament.
Well, yeah, and we've seen this through, Bobby Hurley's career. We'll lose games like, to an unranked Oregon like last year before that, and then we'll go and beat, a nationally ranked team. And
yeah.
I'm just hoping that's what they can pull out this next or on Thursday against Oregon.
Yeah, and the basketball team is so bipolar. I think this is Bobby Hurley's 5th year. We're going to talk about Bobby Hurley in the last segment, but 4th year, I believe. He came in when we came in. This is our 4th year at ASU now, but that first or second year he had the ASU got up to like number 3 or 4 in the country. I was ecstatic. Something this town hasn't seen at all, and we saw how much buzz was around this basketball team with the creation of Guard U, and then that game at Arizona where ASU was actually the last undefeated team in the country, which, I don't know if you've ever said that about this basketball team. And, the buzz around that game was one of the best. I actually got to go to the game in Tucson, and it was one of the most buzzes around a game I've ever seen. And it was, this basketball team had kind of, I'm not going to say peaked, but, they need that buzz again. I think this was supposed to be the year. COVID's really messed it up. And I think we both feel that way about the football team as well. But, it's so tough. I feel like ASU and athletics in the Pac-12 has been getting hit maybe harder than anyone else. And I think I'm not going to say it's unfair because life's unfair and it moves on. But, it would be really nice if they could catch a break, and it would be nice to see them get a win against an Oregon to, kind of, just for that team need ones, Yeah, exactly.
It is really interesting to see how, mirrored this football season is compared to, the beginning of the basketball season.
Yep.
So always much potential. When you think about how much potential ASU had, where they're at in both stages of these programs, and how it's literally just at a collapse right in front of our faces. But it's not over. We have a chance to save it against.
Luckily with basketball, there's we missed 3 weeks, and our season still has potential. But with football, when we missed 3 weeks, it was over. Like there was no shot of us ever winning the Pac-12 South or anything like that. So it's going to be interesting to watch. This team has the leadership. They have the pieces in place with Bobby Hurley, Remy Martin. They have the young talent, that fresh legs, I guess you could say. But barring injuries, we already saw a scare with Marcus Bagley. There's as Michael Jordan would say, the ceiling is the roof with this team. The potential is sky high, but it's yet to be seen, and I think a lot of that is going to be on Bobby Hurley.
Yeah, I mean he's running out of chances to fix his mistakes. I mean, this is kind of a gimme week because of, how many players we're missing and whatnot, but it's time to turn it up, and I expect a lot of like fire out of the Devils against on Thursday.
Yeah, and so it's a great transition. We kind of been teasing it the entire show that we're going to talk about Hurley, and we had this for last. I know our title is very provocative, beginning of the end, and I don't want to make it sound like Bobby Hurley is on any sort of hot seat yet, but we've been seeing this program be on the rise for 2-3 years now, and we made the play-in game in the tournament and lost. Then we made the play-in game and won, and then lost in the first round. And then last year we probably would have been a tournament team, but COVID happened. And I don't blame Bobby Hurley for COVID at all. I'm not playing that against him because he didn't get that chance with, a pretty talented team last year to compete in the tournament. But this team is better than last year's team, Bobby. There's no excuses. The tournament is happening this year. We've seen the NCAA go for, mask madness, I think it was. Their tongue twister, I'm sorry. But they've been trademarking stuff like that. So, it's time for Bobby Hurley to nut up. And I'm not going to say he's on the hot seat, but I think this year, if he doesn't make the tournament, and next year is disappointing as well with another 5th or 6th place finish in the Pac-12, I think Bobby Hurley has to be looking out because all the talk has been, is he the predecessor to Coach K at Duke and all this? But dude, we haven't won an official game in the NCAA tournament yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's just we have to blame it on COVID really because I don't know what's going on in practice or everything. I'm sure it's all tidy, but COVID really just put a spike in his plan, and his progression. His recruiting was getting better. Obviously, he got the highest recruit ever with Josh Christopher, and we just haven't really seen it transition on the court, and it's just something that like you said, like Christopher and Remy are probably going to be done after this year, and potentially Marcus Bagley. We'll see. We're losing. We're kind of back down to square zero right there, and that's Bobby Hurley. Is he gonna start all over?
No. Well, I mean, his recruiting has been one of his major positives. I think that's been really his only positive up to this point this season. He's, he has the recruits to say, I'm trying to put this program, I'm building this program to a certain point. And he's right. These are the best recruits we've had in, since I've been a fan, and I turned 22 today. So, since I've been a fan, it's been the best recruiting I've ever seen on football wise too, in a long time. So the reason I don't like using COVID as an excuse is, Oregon's dealing with COVID, UCLA's dealing with COVID. Like at some point, yes, it's hitting you harder. And I know I used it as an excuse maybe 5-7 minutes ago, but life moves on, and Bobby Hurley needs to be judged for how he's leading these men because whether you like it or not, this counts on your record, and it counts, for your, if you win the Pac-12 this year, it counts. It's no different than any other year. So I think Bobby Hurley doesn't just get to use this year as a pass, and I think he needs to do a better job. I think the expectations that he's built himself are now higher than where this team is at right now.
I think we've seen Verge. So you're saying Bobby Hurley should have gotten some better, at least a win against these LA schools, and I agree because COVID, it is affecting everybody. It is affecting especially basketball, especially this week with 4 players gone, that whatnot. Verge, we've seen Verge and what he's capable of doing. St. Mary's, right?
Yeah.
50. I'm pretty sure he put up 56 points all by himself. So this dude is capable of creating space and scoring on his own. Why didn't Bobby, utilize that going into these LA games? Because, we're better than that. And Verge is, he had great games, no doubt. But, man, I just see him. He easily scores double the points Holland had against USC, and just not being an 18-point deficit like that. That's killer to your momentum. And we brought it back within 2 minutes, but still.
The thing is the reason why I think Bobby is beloved is because of the players he's put here. Because Remy Martin, like we said, preseason point guard, watch list. Josh Christopher, Marcus Bagley, Tayshaun Cherry, he was a 4 or a 5-star. I know he's been nowhere near his potential, and that's probably why he went to Arizona State. But, the talent's there, Bobby, and it's time to start doing something because, yes, you put the talent there, but you're not doing anything with that talent.
Yeah, it's tough to see, and I know we're getting dark on this season and how it's been, but there's still a chance. Bobby can prove everybody wrong by figuring out what's the problem offensively, or I guess defensively too, because we're getting out rebounded every single game. But Yeah, we might need to put Pablo in there just to get some boards.
Yeah, and
Is that a decision Bobby's gonna make, right?
I was a huge Romello White fan, and that loss at the time did not seem to be a huge loss. Center, he averaged, I think, like 13 points per game and maybe like 8 or 9 rebounds. Great stat, pretty average stats for a center. But man, when he's gone, if he was on this team, if Romello White was on this team could easily be a top 15 team in the country.
He's that bull in the paint. That
not only was he a rebounding beast, but he would work his butt off every single game. And I think if he's on this team, this is a top 15.
Well, and you have to think about we're losing the toughness of DeQuan. We lost the toughness of DeQuan Lake, who would come in, and he's not quite what Romello was, but he's a little different, and that helps him in different areas of defense and offense. But would come in and be stable for Romello to get a break.
Yeah, and he
work the paint tough like him.
And they were both
they're doing it at practice.
Yeah, and they were both rim protectors too, which I think it made a lot of teams not necessarily take bad shots, but hesitate before deciding to go into the paint or not. So they're going to need a lot more from their centers. They're going to need a lot more from their wing players. To this point in the season, I think the only real positive has been Marcus Bagley. I think he's been awesome. And then when he did have that Achilles scare and he was out for 2 or 3 games, the team really missed him. That's when this kind of downhill on the roller coaster started. Is when Bagley got hurt, the team really looked lost in the few games after that.
I'd say the high of our season, or Remy Martin's season so far, would be the game winner at GCU. And I know he's not going to leave that to be his, final best moment of the season at ASU, but and he's got to make something happen at Oregon. That's what it means now.
I'll tell you what, I really hope that this team doesn't leave it to the end of the season to say, hey, we have to win the Pac-12 tournament or else we're not going to be in the tournament. Because, we've seen that scenario a few times where man, you might need to get to the finals or, win 2 games to make the tournament. Leave no doubt. This team has the talent, and you don't want to be guessing off a what if you don't get a top 4 seed in the Pac-12. So that's what I want to say to this team is leave no doubt and assure people that, this is just a rough start for this young team. We saw Kentucky. They started off the year, 1-7? They're probably done, and ASU's getting close to that probably done range. So, you don't want to leave it to having to be perfect up until the end of the season. So they better start rattling off some wins. I know Oregon that's going to be a good start if they could get the win, but a loss is not the end of the world, especially at Oregon. So it's going to be something to watch. Oregon State, that's a must win. I don't care by how much. I know you said double digits. Oregon State's a must win. And we'll reconvene next week to kind of discuss that as we don't have too much time left. But Oregon, you have to win one. But, if you sweep the Oregon schools here, big start to turning your tournament hopes around, and a really good job by Bobby Hurley after, we didn't really mention the name. That UTEP loss they had before these Southern California schools, UTEP, University of Texas El Paso. That's a bad loss. When it comes to at the end of the year ranking your resume against this team's resume, it's when you look at a UTEP loss, that's not a good loss to have.
That's not just a bad loss. That's one of the worst losses of Bobby Hurley's ASU coaching.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And GCU almost obsessed too. But
thank you, Chef Remy.
That is all the time we have today. Thank you so much for joining us. It is January 11th, and we will be back next week with more basketball content on the 18th. Make sure to follow us on all social media at Dash Sports TV, or check out our website, www.dashsports.tv. Make sure you go to check out sportspac12.com as well, as we do articles. You can find them on Twitter at sportspac12. You can go to their website, sportspac12.com as well. Follow them on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. Follow me and Josh on Twitter. And we will see you all next week. Thank you for joining, everyone.